One of my favorite parts about college football is quarterback recruiting, and it is something I have followed very closely for years now. I love watching which prospects blow up, which school they decide to go to, and how it all plays out. In today's video, I want to take a look at the 2026 quarterback class and talk about where these top quarterbacks are going. We're going to go through the top 15 ranked quarterbacks, talk about how good they are, and what school they are currently projected to go to. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you didn't support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about where the top 15 quarterback recruits for 2026 are headed. Okay, so for this list, we're going to go ahead and use the 24/7 Sports Composite, which in my opinion is the best of all the recruiting sites. At number 15, we have a quarterback by the name of Will Griffin. He's ranked as the number 200 player in the nation and is the number 19 quarterback according to 24/7 Sports. But in the composite, he's at 15. He's 6'3", goes to Jesuit High School in Tampa, Florida, and has had a crazy high school career. So far, through his first 2 seasons as a starter, Griffin has thrown for 7,552 yards and 89 touchdowns. He also led his team to a 10-2 record, and is one of just a few quarterbacks to have ever thrown for more than 10,000 yards in a season in Florida high school football history. He was the 10th guy to ever do that, and he said he grew up looking up to Tim Tebow, and that's part of the reason why he committed to the Gators. Billy Napier needed a big-time quarterback recruit, and with him being in the same state, it made a lot of sense. It was also interesting that he got to play some varsity football while he was in middle school, and Griffin will head to Florida, but I do wonder what is going to happen with all the coaching stuff going on. Maybe he will flip, maybe he won't, but either way, Will Griffin is a star. At number 14, we have a quarterback by the name of Bryson Beaver. He definitely has one of the best names in the 2026 class, and he's a guy who was blown up recently. He's listed as the number 14 quarterback and the 198th player in the nation, and just a couple of years ago, Beaver was actually committed to Boise State. They're arguably the best group of 5 offer you can get, but Beaver ended up blowing up. He goes to Vista Marietta High School. In this past season, he ended up throwing for 3,214 yards and 33 touchdowns. His recruitment absolutely took off after the Elite 11, as originally he was a Boise State commit, as I said, but then he ended up getting offers from schools like LSU, Ole Miss, and Oregon. Despite his last name being Beaver, he decided to commit to the Ducks and is now Dan Lanning's quarterback for 2026. Beaver went from a guy ranked in the 70s to now a top 15 quarterback, and some are saying he could fly up boards even more. He not only has a good name, but he's a really good player, and I'm excited to see what he can do in Eugene. At number 13, we have a quarterback by the name of Travis Burgess. He goes to Grayson High School in Loganville, Georgia, which is a powerhouse, and the 6'5" phenom has decided to commit to North Carolina. Bill Belichick badly needs better quarterback play, and luckily he will join a talented group of players, including a Torrey Newkirk and Bryce Baker. But turning things over to Burgess, he's been a star for quite some time, and despite him suffering a season injury so far in 2025, he is still going under the radar in my opinion. Last December, Burgess went from a 3-star to a 4-star as schools from all over the SEC, including Auburn, decided to offer him, and that came after a junior campaign in which he threw for 2,225 yards and 23 touchdowns to go along with nearly 600 yards and 4 scores on the ground. He wanted to help build up North Carolina football and really liked Coach Belichick, so he decided to commit to UNC. As I said, if he does in fact stay committed to the Tar Heels, he will have his work cut out for him, as there's a lot of young talent in UNC's quarterback room, but we'll see how things play out, and Burgess is a great addition for them. Last year, the Michigan Wolverines landed the number 1 quarterback in the country in Bryce Underwood, and this year they have the number 12 quarterback committed in Brady Smeagol. He's a 6'5" quarterback from Newbury Park, California, and he has been seen as one of the next great quarterbacks in the 2026 class for quite some time. Originally, he was actually committed to the Florida State Seminoles before he'd eventually visit Michigan and flip to the Wolverines. He thought it was the best decision and the best spot for him, and he also had a good relationship with Chip Lindsey, Michigan's offensive coordinator. Through his first 3 years as a starter, Smeagol had passed for 11,228 yards and 147 touchdowns. He was absolutely incredible, but he ended up tearing his ACL a couple of weeks ago, and just like Burgess, is out for the season. We'll see how he rebounds, but he is a super talented passer who I think could be a star for them in the future. Ranked right ahead of Smeagol, we have a quarterback by the name of Oscar Rios. He comes out of Downey High School in California and is listed as the number 169th overall player in the class of 2026. He's a bit shorter as he's only 6'3" on this list, and Rios has been blowing up over the last couple of years. This past season as a junior, Rios would end up passing for 2,300 yards and 22 touchdowns, while also rushing for 735 yards and 11 touchdowns. He was a true dual-threat star. ESPN listed him as the most exciting recruit for Arizona's 2026 class. He can make crazy throws and use his legs when necessary. He apparently had 19 reported offers and chose Arizona over schools like UCLA, Kentucky, ASU, Auburn, and Colorado. He took many officials, but apparently it came down to Arizona and UCLA, and after at one point being committed to Purdue, he found his new home and is going to be with ASU. He's blown up into a 4-star recruit, and I don't know too much about him, but he's an exciting player to watch. Coming in at number 10, we have the quarterback by the name of Jet Tamala. He has one of the more interesting stories in this year's class, as he was originally a 3-star recruit, but has since found a new school and arrives at Alabama as their prize signal caller in 2026. Jet is from Millard South High School, which is located in Omaha, Nebraska, and after being a 3-star recruit, he posted a junior season, which was a Class A record, of 3,664 passing yards, 47 passing touchdowns, and he led his team to a Class A state title. He got offers from schools like Iowa, Mizzou, Virginia Tech, and Iowa State, and he chose to go to the Cyclones. But after his recruitment blew up even more, the 6'4" gunslinger decided to flip to Alabama. Tamala's had an incredible senior season so far, and it looks like he could be the next great Bama quarterback who Iowa State let get away. Lincoln Riley is known for getting big-time quarterback commits, and he landed the number 9 guy in 2026 in Jonas Williams. Coming out of Lincoln Way High School in Frankfort, Illinois, he's listed as the number 133 overall player in the class of 2026, and he's a guy who could really help out USC in the future. As a sophomore, he passed for 3,200 yards and 33 touchdowns, and that came after nearly 3,000 yards and 37 touchdowns as a true freshman. He was originally committed to Oregon, but would end up flipping to USC, and this is a huge get for the Trojans. Williams is probably the biggest quarterback recruit to come out of Chicago since J.J. McCarthy, and we'll see how he does at USC. And number 8, it feels like Arizona State found their replacement for Sam Leavitt, as they landed a guy by the name of Jake Fetty. He went to Del Valle High School in El Paso, Texas, and in an area not really known for producing a ton of crazy quarterback talent, Fetty is the next big thing out of the area. After quickly getting bigger and bigger as a prospect, he ended up passing for about 2,500 yards and 32 touchdowns last season and only had 1 interception. He also had 600 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground and blew up into a 4-star recruit. He was being recruited by schools all over the country, but he would eventually choose ASU over Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, SMU, and Cal. This is a huge get for Kenny Dillingham, and Arizona State should be in good hands with Fetty at quarterback in the future. Ranked ahead of him at number 7 is South Carolina's next quarterback in Landon Duckworth. Coming out of Jackson High School in Jackson, Alabama, he's listed as a top 100 recruit and the number 7 quarterback in the country. Duckworth has been a big-time recruit for quite some time now, and he's a super athlete. He plays football, runs track, and even plays basketball. He ended up throwing for 3,500 yards and 39 touchdowns during his junior season and was also a dual threat, running for about 700 yards and 12 touchdowns in those 15 games. He ended up choosing the Gamecocks over Georgia, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Florida State, and with Lenora Sellers going off to the 2026 NFL Draft, at least most likely, South Carolina is getting a guy who can really help them out in the future, and it seems he has an endless ceiling. The guy right in front of Duckworth is Bo Bentley. He comes out of the state of Texas and is ranked as the number 67 overall player in the class of 2026. Bentley has also been a star for quite some time, and going back in time a little bit, he was both a soccer and lacrosse superstar, but would end up starting at quarterback as a junior and ended up going 16-0, threw for 47 touchdowns, and also ran for 16 touchdowns. Because of that, Bo instantly became a huge recruit, and his final 3 was Georgia, LSU, and Oklahoma, but he decided to commit to the Sooners. With John Mateer likely being a one-and-done type player for them, Bo will immediately fill a void for Oklahoma and will probably battle it out with Michael Hawkins Jr. unless they bring in another big-time recruit, or their 2025 commit ends up blowing up. Ranked right ahead of Bo at number 5, we have Ryder Lyons. He's the first 5-star recruit in this class, but we won't get a chance to see him for a little while. He's a Mormon, so you'll have to do his 2-year mission, and that's because he decided to commit to BYU, becoming their highest rated quarterback pledge since 2002. He did it live on the Pat McAfee show, and after coming out of Folsom High School in California, he is just the next great quarterback to come out of that program. They have produced a ton of players. After originally deciding to commit to Oregon, Lyons would reopen his recruitment and chose to go to BYU. He said that they poured a ton into him and made him feel super needed. And this came after he threw for 3,600 yards and 38 touchdowns in 2023, and then last year threw for 3,000 yards and 46 touchdowns. He's also a dual threat player, and this is the kind of guy that can change the trajectory of a program and be the next great thing after Bear Bachmeier. This is a huge get for BYU, and hopefully it sticks. Coming in at number 4, we have Keshan Henderson. He's listed as the number 12 overall player in the 2026 class, and he comes out of Legacy, the School of Sports Sciences High School, which is located in Spring, Texas. That's a heck of a high school name. He was coached by former Kansas State quarterback Michael Bishop, and initially, there were a lot of schools that were weary on offering him because they didn't think he could actually play quarterback. Willie Fritz in Houston, though, saw the potential in him and gave him an early offer. That would end up translating as the Houston Cougars would pick up a commitment from Keshan Henderson, and then he blew up from a 3-star to a 5-star. While schools around the country are trying to flip him, it's just probably not going to work, as he loves head coach Willie Fritz. In just his first 2 games of the 2025 season, he threw for over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. Again, this is one of the biggest recruiting wins ever for Houston, and might be even bigger than Ed Oliver. He's put up video game numbers during his high school career, and I really hope he chooses to go to Houston, because it seems that they are building something, and he could be a good quarterback after Connor Weigman. We'll have to wait and see though, because I do wonder if there's going to be a team that tries to flip him. Coming in at number 3, we have Faizon Brandon. Tennessee has done an incredible job at landing quarterback talent recently, and Brandon is just the next player in line, as he's ranked as the number 7 overall prospect in the country. Brandon is from North Carolina and goes to Grimsley High School. He started as a true freshman for them, and as a sophomore he blew up, throwing for 3,000 yards and 36 touchdowns, while also being a heck of a rusher. As a junior, he was named North Carolina's Mr. Football, as he had 2,800 yards and 35 touchdowns, and he was listed as the number 1 overall recruit at one point. He's obviously dipped a couple of spots, but he decided to commit to Tennessee, and this is a huge get for them. As I said, they have been stockpiling elite quarterback talent, and if Brandon stays committed, he could be a guy that truly changes everything for them, and it's definitely possible he starts as a true freshman for Tennessee. One of the biggest names in the 2026 class for a few years now has been quarterback Dia Bell. He's currently listed as the number 5 overall player, and he comes out of American Heritage High School, which is located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That is one of the most elite high schools in the country, and Bell has been putting up numbers for a long time. He is also the son of former NBA player Rajah Bell, which makes this story even more interesting, and he ended up throwing for 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns in his first year as a starter. And then as a junior, he threw for 2,600 yards and 29 touchdowns, while also being a threat on the ground. He was named the Florida Gatorade Player of the Year and would decide to commit to Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. Unfortunately, Bell also suffered a bad injury this season, so he's sort of done for now, and Texas might need to figure some things out. Arch Manning might be coming back, they also have Trey Owens and KJ Lacey, and Bell will eventually see the field, but I'm not sure how soon. And last but not least, we have to talk about Jared Curtis. He's been the unanimous number 1 quarterback in this class for quite some time, and he's currently listed as the 4th best player overall. He goes to Nashville Christian High School, which is located in Tennessee, and Curtis has had scouts drooling for quite some time. He ended up deciding to choose Georgia over Oregon, and I guess he sort of went back and forth for a little while. As a junior, Curtis passed for 2,800 yards and 40 touchdowns, and only had 3 picks. He also ran for nearly 700 yards and 18 more touchdowns, and he just sort of checks every box. He honestly reminds me a lot of either Jake Fromm or Jacob Eason, but who knows? I'm not a scout, but I do think he'll end up at Georgia and will be a game changer for them. So yeah, in today's video, I talked about the top 15 high school quarterback recruits, who they are and where they're going, and let me know your thoughts down below. Who is your favorite 2026 quarterback? Who's the underrated guy I should take a look at next? And also, what other topic on the channel should I cover? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you didn't support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out some of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.